All right, guys, on the way to my next concert in the park here. This one's going to be at sort of a band shell pavilion deal that the city has made. Been here lots of times, been doing this one for years. Have worked with these bands a little bit in the past, so things might get a little bit interesting. The leader of one of the bands has asked that they want to use in-ear monitors with their mixer, so I might just be sub-mixing from their mixer to mine, and then I'll use like their tablet to actually dial them in. Not sure what kind of mixer they have, so I do know a couple of different of the interfaces. Obviously, I use PreSonus with the studio with the UC Surface. There's the Behringer / Midas, and then the Allen and Heath UI, along with what is it called? Soundcraft UI with the Logitech components. So, depending on which one they have, that's what we'll be working with. Not a big deal to me. I mean, shouldn't be too bad. And if they're using in-ears, there shouldn't be any issues with monitors or feedback or any of that jazz. So that's good. Hot one, very nice day, but definitely a hot one. So we'll see what kind of crowd we get. And I want to move back to using just the regular 16-channel mixer for this, just because if I'm sub-mixing from their mixer anyway, I don't need the 24 channels at all. Opening act, I think, is just a 2-piece maybe, or something to that effect, so should be good. All right, I'll keep you posted.
We said goodbye. So what's going on in your world? It sure is lonesome in mine. Just tell me that you're happy, and I'll hang up the phone. Just tell me you don't need me anymore, and I'll leave you alone. You got wall to wall, and yet with all of that, you're still not happy. 'Cause every time he's gone, I get your call. Slide off of your satin sheets, slip into your long soft bed. You know.
everybody. It's another one in the books. Got quite a bit of video for this one, so hopefully I'll be able to edit it and get it all organized for everybody to take a look at. we had two acts. Pretty much the majority of my concerts are 2 acts, opening act and then a main act. Opening act was 4-piece. Yeah, went to the 4-piece, 4-part harmony, which was really cool. Upright bass, acoustic guitar, electric guitar, and then saxophone, and sort of like a digital kind of saxophone keyboarder type thing. Really good. Dialing them in was, I worked with them before, and dialing them in, it does take a little bit to get, their voices to blend really well. I don't know if you can tell from the video or not. We'll see when it comes out. But the guitar player, he does a lot of these like percussive hits and little strums and beats on his acoustic guitar at the same time that he's playing, and so hopefully those come through. I think it's really cool. It adds a little bit of percussive, because they don't have a drummer, so it adds a little bit of a percussive sort of feel to the sound, which I think is awesome. Got them in, once you get them blended good, each instrument can kind of live in its own space, but they can all still, you can still hear them well, and then get the vocals blended, and just throw a bit of verb on top of it just to mix it all together. And I really enjoyed it. They liked it, and some other people were there and said that they sounded good, so I'm happy with that. Main act, awesome sounding, great vocals, more of a country band, and so a little bit of a different sound, but altogether, things. I think they sounded great, went good. A little bit of feedback, I gotta say, on the Soundcraft UI-24. So they were running in-ear mixes, and so they wanted to use their board, and then they were just subbing to my board. Stereo sends, left and right into 2 channels on my board. I gotta say, this is my first time using the Soundcraft UI-24, and they had a router, and they also there's a onboard Wi-Fi on that UI-24, and man, I just, the connectivity on it was really rough. I could get probably 20-25 feet away from where the router and board was, and on their iPad it would drop the connectivity of the mixer. And then the router, the Wi-Fi dropped off, and it came back and it dropped off. At one point, the router had dropped off, and then it connected to the other Wi-Fi spot on the board, and then I couldn't get. So I didn't realize the Soundcraft UI-25, it does not have an application interface like the Behringer's does, the PreSonus does. A lot of the other units have their own sort of interface that they've built that are apps within a device. The UI instead has an HTML. It's a website. It's basically like a website. You're using a URL with an IP address, and that is what's allowing you to control the board. I don't know how I feel about that. It sounded good. I was happy with the sound. I really was. I was glad that the sound was set and ready to go before the connectivity issue started. I was really happy for that. But there was a good, I'd say altogether, well, they only played for, hour and a half. I'd say for a good 30 minutes, I had no access to their channels at all, just because I was trying to get the iPad to connect back to the original router, and then I was reloading the IP address that was in there, and it kept saying like cannot load, connectivity issues. And so I finally was able to get it to come back up, you know, they sounded fine. Everything was good on their end, so there wasn't any issues there. But when I was able to get it to come back up, I still could not get more than maximum 25 feet away, and it would drop connectivity with that board. I did reach out to a friend just over text message during the show, and he did say there are some tricks to making that work, and also having a really good external router, which they did have an external router. I don't know how good it was. It's just kind of a basic Cisco router. But yeah, you know, with my PreSonus and then the router that I use it's a kind of an older 5 gigahertz Apple or MacBook router, Apple router, the sort of square white box. But man, with that thing, I mean, I can go hundreds of feet away and not have connectivity issues. So this was definitely a different sort of feel for me. Again, I think it was transparent. It was, you know, it was neither here nor there to the crowd or to the band. They were fine and said that, you know, they had a good time and that they could hear everything and sounded good. So I was happy there. But just from a connectivity standpoint, from a reliability standpoint, I really want to work with a Soundcraft UI again, just so I can see if that's legit the way that it works, or if maybe there's something within their specific system and their specific setup that maybe isn't set up correctly. I will say the Wi-Fi antenna on their UI the antenna was broke a little bit. It did have a crack in it, and but the guy whose board it was said that he wasn't using that. He was using the router, so it shouldn't have had any issues. But I definitely, you know, again, you know, I definitely felt those issues, and so I am a Soundcraft fan though. I know some other folks who have those boards and they swear by them. They really enjoy them. The board sounded good. It sounded very clean. Really small footprint. So I think all that part of it's good. I will say that this band chose to have their UI24 in a soft case, and I don't think that that's the best deal. There's just too many things that can get broken with a soft case. I do use a soft case for one of my microphones, my wireless microphones, but it's kind of an older one, and I realize that, you know, things can get, you know, pushed on and whatnot in there. So I'm sort of take that chance with, you know, at least understanding that could happen. But with, you know, upwards of, I don't know, I think those things are probably around $1,500, $1,200 to $1,500 probably. I would definitely opt to have that in a hard shell case of some kind, as opposed to a soft shell case. The other thing, and this is probably just me being sort of picky, but you know, one of the reasons why I want to do this is to give you guys like my perspective on things and sort of what I prefer and why I prefer it. And I'm going to try to post, you know, in editing these videos, I'm going to try to post some like pictures of what I'm talking about. But in the PreSonus interface with Universal Controller, the bottom, the very bottom of the interface, no matter what screen you're in, no matter what you're looking at, with the exception of probably the like home screen or the systems screen, there's a ribbon at the bottom where you can always see the channel signal for each channel but each channel effects, returns right at the bottom. And so what that really does for me, and again, you know, I might be a little bit biased just because I've used PreSonus for quite a while, but what it really does for me is it eliminates the idea that like what's in the window currently is all I have to go off of. So what I mean by that is, you know, the UI24 interface, you could fit about, I don't know, I'd say about 7 or 8 channel strips on the actual like viewing window. But so let's say, you know, I'm viewing channels, you know, 2 through 9. and all of a sudden channel 12 or channel 15 or channel 18 or channel 20 or whatever starts to have maybe some feedback issues or some some things going on where I need to see or get to that channel pretty quickly. In the UI interface and in a lot of the interfaces, you can't see that. You can only see what's in the window. So like, let's say something is feeding back or something, something happened. I can't see what channel very quickly that's coming from without swiping to the left or swiping to the right. And then tonight, I ended up, I was trying to show somebody that how cumbersome that can be. And when I swiped to the left, the iPad thought I was changing applications, and so it brought up a different application or a different app that was working as well, and it completely took away all the controls. So it was like, I don't know, I just feel like that's not as intuitive as I would like it to be. And for the PreSonus, like, it's right there, and not only is it there, but it's touch sensitive. What that means is, like, so if I'm looking at the first 8 channels or something, and I need to get to the last channels real quick, all I got to do is touch on those last channels, and it's gonna move me right to those channels. And I don't have to swipe. I can swipe, but I don't have to. I can just push in that area of the ribbon, and it will take me right to those channels. So that might be a preference thing, but man, I really do miss that when I'm working with other interfaces. The paging as well. I mean, it's just, I feel like it's just a little bit cumbersome, a little bit clunky. With this, in this particular, with the UI, with the Soundcraft UI 24 interface, your gain, like, so your signal gain is a different layer of faders that you have to select, and then you can adjust the gains, and then you have to select off of that to go back to the regular mix. I just really like the interface where when I'm looking at a channel, I can see the gain, I can see things that go with that part of it, and then just on the same page I can see the EQ, compressor, limiter, gate, that whole deal. And again, that may be preference. I'm a PreSonus guy, and I've used them for a lot of years, but I just feel like it's just a bit, it can get you a little bit lost with maybe what you're looking at, or not quite as easy to get to something that if you might need it pretty quick. So, and that's just, again, that's just my perspective. I know other people have different perspectives, and that's cool too, and all that jazz. So, so beyond that, beyond the board, I think everything else worked well. I will say I probably could have turned down the main volume on theirs, because I was getting a little bit of redlining on the 2 channels that I had ran their board to. Nothing crazy, but there were a couple of spots where I could hear a little bit of distortion, maybe a little bit of overdriving, and so I would definitely we'll pay attention to that if I have to do that again with another band. All things considered, though, I think it worked out really well. I was happy to work with a new system and learn it. I enjoy that. I enjoy learning new things from different manufacturers and different applications and ways to do controls and whatnot. So that part was really cool. So I mean, all in all, really a great night. I had a ball. I think that I'm glad that everybody else did too, and more to come next week. I'll be off for a little while. I got, I think, just a couple of concerts next week, and a couple of shows next week also. So I'll be back to it, and that's that. I hope you guys have a great time, great night, and we'll see you on the next